we have Kelly Bennett. We've given out some handouts about his talk and about him, biography. If you don't have one at this point, we'll have some sitting over here at the end, or we'll hand them out again. So, Kelly Bennett, just talking on the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? And why would we need a bigger picture? How does a bigger picture relate to the events of our everyday life? It has been said that human experience is a constant climb to a better and more complete perspective. Did you know that our perspective helps define some of the most basic motivations, like intent and attitude? And so that I don't say any more, and I'll give Kelly a chance to say it all, let's welcome Kelly Bennett.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Ajijic. Good morning. Glad to see all your smiling faces. Thank you, Lake Chapala Society, Open Circle, for another opportunity to share thoughts. From some 55 years of practice in spiritual psychology, clinical psychology, developmental psychology, neuropsychology, EMDR, meditation, and prayer with people around the world. Please pick up a learning aids handout if you haven't gotten one already. And for anyone who wishes to continue discussing today's topic, at the end of the talk, I offer a free hour of counseling to give you that opportunity. So all you need to do is put your name on the sheet afterward, if you want to, and I'll contact you. For everything I offer today, I credit thousands of lengthy daily conversations over many years of meditative prayer with my source that I call life, who has expanded my perspective enormously. I don't know if you've ever been told by someone, but I have, that I could use a bigger picture. At the time, I had no idea what they meant. So the suggestion sparked a string of questions. You know, what is the bigger picture? What is that? And why do I need a bigger picture? How would a bigger picture affect my life? And what would a bigger picture do that my current size picture can't? Well, that matter became clear later in life when I was confronted with a very wise saying. The human experience is a constant climb to better and more complete perspective. The human experience is a constant climb to better and more complete perspective. Well, it became obvious to me when I read the saying that I was already too soon old and too late smart, because it was news to me. But my naivete at a younger age must have been obvious to everyone except me. Growing up in the depressed 1930s and the warring 1940s, my ambition, my independence, by being a regular fellow, took the spotlight. I thought that a strong ambition to achieve would overshadow any lack of sophistication that may be true of me. I fully believed that ambition could carry me straight to my goal of success. In that innocence, I thought that any deficits in wisdom or judgment, which were not significant anyway, should not be a limit to my success. But they were right. My perspective at the time was definitely partial. I needed more capacity to look at things differently. Just being told I could benefit from seeing a bigger picture didn't consciously mean much. But on a more fundamental level, I did remember. And by no accident at a later time, when I was open enough, with a perspective inclusive enough to understand how my early hyper-individuality could have denied me the reality that now exists. I came to realize how I'd been saved. From a fate that I didn't have to experience. And this allows me to share some insight with you today about the bigger picture. First of all, are you aware that the quality of our perspective, our viewpoint on life, defines the breadth and the depth of our psychological vision? It defines our ability to observe what's right in front of us, what we would call the reality of the situation. It's not uncommon for our anxieties to limit the breadth and depth of our vision, especially of things we would rather not see. Over time, the quality of perspective that we permit becomes established and more as a habit that we no longer monitor, and so any distortion becomes automatic and harder to confront and change. Truth for all of us can be altered to support an inadequate point of view, as you know. Becoming acquainted with the bigger picture means we have access to more of the whole truth, which prevents us from misinterpreting life, which, by the way, is a major source of personal ill health. Now, for those who choose to meditate or pray, may I suggest that you be sure to emphasize your source's unity with you. A bigger picture contains the truth and all the elements, but a complete answer involves unity with your source within the landscape of the bigger picture. I believe the first quality that we can develop in order to see a bigger picture is an openness to life. Having little or no defensiveness toward the energy of all possibilities. All possibilities. A second quality we can develop to see a bigger picture is an expansion of our perspective to include all available possibilities without exclusion. This invites the fullest sense of probabilities to be available for our benefit. By opening to all possibilities and their probabilities, we become able to perceive events and circumstances with a more complete view. The more whole our view is, the better it serves our evolution. A term I often suggest that people know well in this regard is integrity. Searching for truth brings integration to anyone who does so sincerely. Integration occurs when the whole person moved along their path without leaving pieces here and there as they go. So for those who yearn for integrity, you will progress in balanced ways. The word wholesome has a similar meaning when describing people devoted to truth wherever it may be found. So look for wholesome people with a level of integrity that you need for involvement. Unfortunately, preconceptions that come with us interfere and distract from our seeing the whole truth within a picture. That's why a pattern of opening is suggested as a template of evolution in meditation. Open, expand, follow, and connect. I will elaborate later today on that. But the primary importance of a constant climb to a better and more complete perspective may surprise you. Did you know that the energy of our perspective defines and produces some of our most basic human motivations, like intent and attitude? Did you know that the energy of our intent assigns possibilities that then arise within our experience? Also, did you know that the energy of our attitude reinforces those possibilities to become probabilities to arise within our experience? Perhaps this helps explain why elements of the same experience affect people so differently. Perhaps this also helps explain why we get outcomes that we didn't expect. Surprised? On planet Earth, our perspective can be considered the most fundamental characteristic governing human evolution. On planet Earth, our perspective can be considered the most fundamental characteristic governing human individual evolution. Wow. Powerful stuff. So that means if you transform perspective and you have a new human being, change perspective and the rest follows. So if everything derives from perspective, then changing perspective is the fastest way to evolve. Surprised? Even our individual motivational structures flow from our perspective. Our viewpoint on life stimulates the development of such important psychological motivators as intent, beliefs, values, attitudes, even habit. Our perspective. So what we are about to discuss today may sound a little complex, but if you can be patient with some new concepts and new terms, I believe it will all come together for our very best interest. At least that's the energy of my intent today. Now let's talk about the value of expanding perspectives, particularly expanding with more energy complete or whole perspectives. Those whole perspectives that acknowledge all energy possibilities, beneficial and detrimental. And rejecting no energy possibilities. Do you know why they play such a vital role in our well-being? A perspective that includes more possibilities, even all possibilities, is more energy whole and can directly offer us improved body health. As it was explained to me in meditation and prayer, disease in the human being occurs only where whole life energy availability or level or integration is inadequate in sustaining the evolution of the person. So our cellular body health depends on the availability, status, and integration of whole life energy directly to the body, which our mind largely governs. Whoa. So in meditation, I was shown how during our lifetimes, a radiant whole energy being that we call our soul is conjoined within us at the heart, in the very epicenter of our being, and is the primary source, primary source of individualized and complete life energy continuously supplied to each living being 24/7. Each living being. Well, just think about what I had just said. A very real part of us is already energy whole. We already live with an individual standard of energy wholeness, where all possibilities are part of the arrangement. We already have a constant source of wholeness within us. And this is why ongoing and complete body health is possible for each of us. Note that the body relies on our mind to monitor our daily supply of soul energy. To further understand this, let's proceed. This is where the ancient idea of karma comes in. Over time, since our individual soul was created a very long time ago, and through experience after experience, our current individual perspective has taken form. It has been distorted by conclusions we reached about our past experiences that were often incomplete, misconceptions, because a full picture wasn't available. So short of today's all possibilities approach, incomplete conclusions tend to be retained as our best source of knowledge. So imagine how many incomplete conclusions we each may have drawn over the eons. Those partial conclusions influence the shape of our current perspective. Current perspective. So each extended experience, even a lifetime, carried with it accumulation of conclusions which then developed into an intent, a belief, a value, an attitude, behavioral habit. The overall effect resulted in that perspective we then enjoyed at our most recent birth. Whoa. Even now, every time we experience something similar to those accumulated misconceptions, they are reinforced. You can see why it may be involved to change perspectives and why people tend not to change without strong intent. Can you also see why it's become possible to transform now our current perspectives rather than wait for further eons that it would take to change them by traditional, evolutionary, Darwinian means? Does today's emphasis on transformation of our individual perspective make more sense now? Let me explain further. Physically located between our soul and our body, I was shown how over time a multitude of filters form which downgrade the quality of radiated life energy reaching our body. This leaves the body with a diminished amount of essential life energy compared to that which it requires or was supplied by its local source, our soul. So the integrity of our current perspective is diminished by interfering energy filters. An upgrade can resolve the distortion between our soul's whole daily allotment and the limited amount actually received and utilized by the body. The aim is to eliminate all filters for a unity between the local source, our soul, and the physical body, resulting in the complete physical health. Complete physical health. This perspective facilitates all healing processes as nothing else can. So, in the upgrading process, to accept our soul as the whole energy source provided by our Creator becomes a much stronger position to start with than without it. And to be willing to clear the filters and move in the direction of perspective renewal can ensure, among many other things, our becoming healthy individuals. Living with a soul of whole transforming energy already present within means each person can focus on clearing their own filters, distorting filters, in support of more clarity of perspective. The presence of a core energy of radiant wholeness within us can then become a practical daily experience rather than merely an abstract idea. So focusing on physical problems increases our vulnerability to ill health, as you may already know. It's our health, not our sickness, that needs to be energized. So then we can focus on wholeness rather than illness. Wholeness. Energy, wholeness. For those struggling with health, they can become more aware of the filters you employ that distort the truth of your perspective. Notice the degree of clarity with which you view wholeness and truth. If disease in the body results from an energy deficiency, then taking an energy wholeness approach in the face of a deteriorating physical condition is courageous and even smart. Adopting wholeness as our true state of being as a major part of our mental perspective helps prevent disease from developing in the first place. Even better. The energy of our mental perspective helps determine whether our life energy focus is directed toward our health or our illness. Choosing to live with an energy whole mental perspective facilitates body cellular healing like nothing else. I'm told that our soul knows exactly what to do at all times. If so, let's become familiar with it. Make it a guide. Listen to it through our heart. It's our constant, customized, complete energy source, straight from the Creator. So when you meditate or pray, ask your imagination to help you become more aware and to experience the presence of your soul. Interestingly enough, some years ago in meditation, when queried by me with, "Who are you?" my meditation source was introduced as, "We are the energy of life speaking." Those who do not know us do not know what we are about. We are about the enhancement of life everywhere. Great. So, toward the perspective upgrading process that we've embarked on today, let's take a moment to do an exercise having a broader, all possibilities focus. Look around you at what we call nature, the local creation. Ask your imagination to provide a view of ongoing life energy and processes within nature. Because nature exhibits the energy of the whole truth. See if you can realize the intricate connections that exist that transmit change throughout life and the creation. Encourage all possibilities of experience to exist within the matrix. Life in the creation is interconnected and unified. When one part changes, the whole is affected. Such as in the worldwide climate change, where we are currently struggling to bring about a balance. Nature, the creation, illustrates how our lives might become more complete by expanding our viewpoint to include more possibilities than fewer. So just think, would you prefer to make judgments for your life armed with a limited number of arbitrary possibilities, or armed with all the possibilities there are? When possibilities are limited, our perspective becomes a mixture of truths in varying degrees. Truth in varying degrees. Is it not better to strive for the whole truth by opening, expanding within the unity, the limitlessness of all possibilities as a new basis for a mental perspective? Familiarity with the bigger picture can prevent us from misinterpreting the truth, while our unity with the bigger picture brings a better solution to any problem, as well as our best path in life. However, we can choose to live with either an expanded or limited perspective. While an expanded perspective is more inclusive, both are real and both are acceptable. However, an expanded perspective, what we call the whole enchilada of all possibilities, can provide an energy of wholeness with improved health and informed self-determination, faster evolution, greater opportunities, and fewer limitations to our experience. So as a reminder, intent flows from our perspective. It's a driver. It defines what we want to have happen and reflects our purposes. Never underestimate the power of our intent and the power it has in accomplishing any mission. But what if the strength of our intent, not chance, helps shape psychological possibilities and probabilities that become available for our experience through our perspective? A strong intent identifies with the phrase, I will. It signifies confidence and commitment. The feeling of a strong intent is that a purpose must be accomplished. A strong intent does not consider half-hearted attempts or giving up. But if you're looking for a different intent, expand the spread of possibilities made available within your perspective. The power of our intent shapes our attitude. The power of our intent shapes our attitude. A different perspective creates a different intent and a different attitude. The greater meaning that our intent has for us, the stronger will be the attitude to make sure it happens. So the words willingness and openness best describe attitude. Being open means to be available for experience that could not occur otherwise. The possibilities convert into probabilities depending upon the strength of our intent as supported by our attitude. Now, attitude either steps on the gas, coasts, or steps on the brake. In many ways, it's the controller of our experiences. One reason that attitude is so important is because it can influence our ability to move through the world. Attitude determines the predominant value of attracted possibilities and their probabilities. Attitude provides a bridge of attraction to the energies of possibilities and screens the value of energy that the attracted possibilities possess, beneficial or detrimental. If you're looking for a different attitude, first change the quality of your intent. And probably change it toward becoming more caring. Then become more observant in all circumstances for opportunity. Possibilities continue to exist whether we recognize them or not. It's not unusual for us to intentionally include beneficial and exclude detrimental possibilities from our outlook. Yes, well, why would we include in our perspective and awareness of those detrimental possibilities we would not want to experience? Well, remember that mere recognition of a possibility does not imply agreement or a desire to become that possibility, nor a need to experience that possibility. By including everything as part of the whole picture, we demonstrate our willingness to see the entire picture of life, not just pre-selected portions of it. You know, fear acts like a magnet And to pretend that a particular detrimental possibility doesn't exist leaves us vulnerable to it. By opening to all possibilities demonstrates a willingness to involve ourselves in all aspects of life. By including all possibilities within our mental perspective, the need for a demonic or devilish entity on which to blame socially unacceptable activities becomes unnecessary. Knowing all that is possible, we can steer a much wiser course through dangerous waters. Being foolhardy is to assume there are no waters dangerous enough to prevent safely sailing through, when in fact there are. Earth reality comprises both safety and danger. There's nothing wise about challenging dangerous waters for the sake of proving something. Enough strife exists in everyday life to prove our mettle, and to continue in this life is to know the difference. So, in summary, we can experience increased power coming from the energy of all possibilities within our perspective. In this way, we can directly experience manifesting more of what we need, like high-quality health, or the impact of more truth within our belief systems, or clear shifts toward more universal caring for ourselves and others, and an accelerated pace to our personal evolution. Wow. So hopefully the whole enchilada, that bigger picture containing all possibilities, has more meaning for you now. Please consider all possibilities as your new playground. Your intent will focus with purpose, and your attitude will find more creative, inspired, and joyous moments, I believe. So be sure to sign up for the free hour if you want it. The papers are up here. And thank you for your attention.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. That was a wonderful talk. I'm going to come around and take some questions, and you can speak into the mic. I'm going to go right back here. I'm going to move it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciated hearing what you had to say, and I can't thank you enough for all that you've helped me through our counseling time together over the last several weeks. I have a question about sickness. In my religious tradition, birth, sickness, old age, and death are an inherent part of life. Are you saying that if we remove all of those filters and take full energy from life, that we won't get sick at all?
That's what I understand, yes. Correct.
Well, that's hopeful.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. That was so inspiring. So over the almost 14 years we've lived here in Mexico, we've enjoyed, for many years, driving all over Mexico without fear. But that's changed. And I hate to admit that, but now, you know, we read on the media about people even on the quotas getting held up, and so it makes us feel like we have to stay here in our little bubble rather than heading out to see what possibilities are out there. So how do we address that situation without, you know, without limiting our possibilities? You know, here in Mexico, how do we accept the fact that there are some real dangers out there, and use caution and go forth without fear? Thank you.
Well, that's a big question, isn't it? Big question about life, how to live life. And the dangers, life has danger, as you know, and you just described, the dangers that we need to deal with. And it's foolish to drive into the danger, isn't it? To threaten your own life with it. And you know, knowing when and knowing how to avoid danger, to me, is a big role for the intuition. Our intuitional information that comes to us through the heart. And it's not mental, it's not the kind of thing where you calculate whether you should or not. This is where you listen to the intuition, your heart, and ask your intuition, I need some wisdom here. Is this silly of me, or is this wise of me? Is this okay for me? You're asking your intuition for this information. And you'll get intuitive input, hunches. People get hunches all the time. You'll get information. They'll give you guidance for leading your own life at this time. And that's a very personal thing, isn't it? So to give a general equation for everybody to use, if I had to do that, which I don't really like doing, I would say, I would suggest that you look to your intuition more, become acquainted with your intuition, get to know it, find it to be extremely helpful as a partner in your life. It will guide you.
Anybody else? Anybody else out there? No more questions. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah,
We
thank
have one
you.
right here. Oh, I didn't see this one.
I was kind of hearing that. It seemed like when you hear so much in the media, and I think the media tends to make the fear way bigger than it really is. I think most cases.
Tell me what you mean.
You know, the fear of what you see on the media about the dangers of different things in life. You know, like drug cartels and that. I bet you the probability of being in danger of that is far less than what you get the impression from the news media.
Well, that's encouraging to know. If that were true, and it may be, as you say, that'd be encouraging to know. Be helpful, I would think. Especially if a person is anxious, very anxious about it. But I hear what you're saying, I hear from a number of people about how they deal with the way things are. And they learn to define places that are safer, ways of being that are safer, and places that aren't. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Raise your hand if you have another question. Anybody? Or a comment? It's been a great discussion. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Everybody take home your handout. It's full of information about what Dr. Bennett shared today.